Hello, this is Alan Elliott, and I'm here to help you find an unforgettable writing voice. So, what is a writing voice and why is it important? I like this poetic diction definition for how to write. Great prose is not poetry, but a poetic and lyrical way of writing. And then I like Owen Barfield's definition. When words are selected and arranged in such a way that their meaning arouses imagination, the result is poetic diction. And so that's what our writing goal is to write using poetic diction. It's a magical and memorable way of writing that makes images come to life. It stirs your emotion that sticks with the reader long after they close the book. So, poetic diction is the same as voice. It's your writing signature. It brings readers into a particular familiar mood, a world, a feeling, a comfort. It's a recognizable and engaging voice that creates followers, fans, devotees, and buyers of your book. Now, of course, every writer needs to read extensively in their own genre and outside their genre, of course. But also read recent books to find out what is working now and what subtle things have to be inherent in your story. But at the same time, be familiar with memorable writers from all ages, not to mimic them, but to discover what in their writing made it so enticing. So let's look at some examples. So first of all, let's look at who wrote this. She was 20 or so, small and delicately put together, but she looked durable. She wore pale blue slacks and they looked well on her. She walked as if she were floating. Her hair was a fine, tawny wave, cut much shorter than the current fashion of pageboy tresses, curled in at the bottom. Her eyes were slate gray and had almost no expression when they looked at me. She came over near me and smiled with her mouth, and she had little sharp predatory teeth, as white as fresh orange pith and as shiny as porcelain. They glistened between her thin, too taut lips. Her face lacked color, and she didn't look too healthy. Now that's a little verbose maybe, but nevertheless, it's from a classic book, The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. Let's look at another. Who wrote this? It's those little figures, sir, in the middle of the table. The little china figures? 10 of them. There were. I'll swear to that. 10 of them, sputters Mr. Rogers, as he realizes that after the deaths of Marston and Mrs. Rogers, the number has been reduced to 8. Of course, that's Agatha Christie, and then there were none. Another example. Who is this? Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large mustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very useful as she spent so much of her time craning over garden fences, spying on the neighbors. And that, of course, is J.K. Rowling in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Can you see how those all, even though they're different genres, different eras, all create some sort of visual, sometimes even emotional feeling in the writing? So what we want to do in creating our own effective writing voice is, let me have a brief aside. If this is helpful to you, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Now let's go back to the topic. So creating your own effective voice means make your voice real, authentic. Don't duplicate anyone outright, of course, but be inspired by the master writers. Here's an exercise that you can do that I think will be very helpful to you. Take a scene from your own novel or short story and rewrite it in the style of several different popular writers, maybe the writers that I just showed you. To do so will help you gain insight as to how you might improve your own voice. So to create our own writing style, we need to define our voice. We need by using language that paints pictures in the minds of our readers. We can use metaphors, similes, picture words, and something I call texture. Like the visual phrases of J.R.R. Tolkien, these were extracted from The Hobbit. He was swept away into dark lands under strange moons. The shadow of Gandalf's beard wagged against the wall. Deep-throated singing of the dwarfs in the deep places of their ancient homes burst out like the whistle of an engine coming out of a tunnel. Can you see how that creates a visual, sometimes even auditory image? Or from Harlan Corbin, Promise Me. Debbie Frankel, a brilliant girl, was a live wire, that spark plug who was always animated. The patrician lockjaw, the perfect nose, the hair parted by the gods. He stank, deservedly so, of privilege and white shoes and golfer's tan. He couldn't be more American casual if he tried. Again, it's creating a visual of these people. And then Death by Chocolate. He looked down at the senior citizen black shoes and baggy hose she was wearing. Ryan's life partner, who was always sat to her right and sipped Earl Grey tea in that quiet, dignified manner. She couldn't have been more excited if she had been holding a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Again, creating excitement in the writing. Or T.S. Eliot from the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window. After the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trailed along the floor, I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. Or maybe Longfellow from A Psalm of Life. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Again, can you see the visual that they're creating here? So here are some writing exercises to help us improve a scene. Take a phrase like, Jeremy ran across the room. So boring. And find an appropriate action, verb, or metaphor to make that sentence more engaging. Jeremy raced across the room like a dog chasing a squirrel. Jeremy waltzed across the room on a golden cloud. Jeremy crawled across the cell on bloodied knees. Now it's your turn. Write 2 or 3 Jeremy sentences. Another exercise, replace adjectives. So choose a scene in a writing project you're currently working on and look for places where you describe something using adjectives like wonderful, terrible, horrible, whatever. Those are all telling adjectives. And replace those meek sentences with vivid descriptions, showing. Of course, this is the old adage, show, don't tell. Okay, let's look at an example here. Plot a scene with a twist. So Jeremy wants Aiden to do something. That's the crux of this little scene here. Okay, so we begin. Hey, Aiden, let's go to Bob's house and steal some beer. Great, I'm in. Well, that's too boring of a scene. It's just too easy. The yes response is just too easy. So what we want to do is make this scene better by first using a no response instead of a yes. And then number 2, turn the scene to give you the desired result in the end. All right, so let's look at how we might do that. Hey, Aiden, let's go to Bob's house and steal some beer. Not me, I'm not that stupid. I'll let you ride on my Harley. With Wilma snuggling behind me in her halter top and shorts, I am in. Hopefully you can see how that's a little bit more interesting. So we've taken the simple scene, we've added an initial no response, and then we twisted the scene to make it give us the end that we wanted. Okay, so those were just some techniques that you can look at and go over again and again to see if they would improve your writing and your voice and your poetic diction. And here's the summary. One, rewrite your scenes with other voices to see if they're improved. Number two, check your adjectives. Add metaphors and visual language. Show, don't tell. Number three, give your scenes more texture by introducing more drama to every little scene. Turn initial yeses into nos, and then twist the scene to give it the answer you want. Number four, use these techniques to find your own memorable voice. Here are some of my books. If any of them look interesting to you, please take a look at them. And thank you for watching. Now go and write, because I know that you can do it.